It's Friday afternoon, and I think we're going to go on a little field trip today. We have a couple new items at the store. Honey. Not just any regular honey, but honey from the Smoky Valley in Lindsborg, Kansas. And not only plain honey, but infused with glug spices. Not only that, we have one that's infused with orange. So we're going to go out today and meet the beekeeper, Erik Peterson at Peterson Honey. We're going to see a little bit about what it takes to get honey produced and on your shelf. All right, Erik Peterson, proprietor of Peterson Honey, is here to tell us a little bit about how he harvests honey on his farm. He's just told me that we've got some bees to the right of us, and they seem a little active because of the weather today, but I'm going to just turn it over to Erik. And Erik, why don't you just tell us a little bit about your operation here?
Yeah, hi, good afternoon. We have 17 active hives here on our farm, and we do raise the bees and cultivate them so they produce honey for us. What they do is make their foundation on a frame just like this that's placed into a hive, and then we'll when the time's right, when I know for a fact they have enough food to sustain themselves through the winter, then I'll remove these and remove the caps and put those in a large extractor, and it's a centrifuge actually, and it'll spin the honey out, and then I'm able to run it through a stainless steel mesh and bottle it right away.
Well, so you don't have to do anything to the honey other than just do you filter it, or just comes right off the honeycomb and right into a bottle?
Right off the honeycomb through a stainless steel sieve, which is essentially a filter, but it just gets the big wax chunks out. So what we have here is raw honey. It's not adulterated in any way at that point. When I infuse it, of course, you can't call it raw honey, but it was made with raw honey. In fact, in some of the bottles, you'll see a little bit of white wax up in the top there, and that's actually very small particles of beeswax, which are fine.
Okay, why don't you tell us a little bit about some of your equipment and tools here that you use, and I guess I got to ask, when you raise bees and you harvest honey, what's the correct terminology for producing honey?
Well, a group of beehives is called an apiary, and a beekeeper is an apiarist.
Apiarist.
Yes, and that's in Latin it means something. Actually, apiary is part of the genus or species of the bee's Latin name. So
fascinating. I did not know that.
Yeah, and so when we get into a hive to inspect it or harvest the honey, I'll fire up the smoker and just raise this lid and send a few puffs of smoke in there and then down through the entrance, and that tends to calm the bees a little bit, and it prevents them from emitting their attack pheromone, so to speak, their scent. So it basically calms them down, and so I can get in there and I'll have my hat on with the screen, and then I have gauntlets, gloves, which you can see these are covered with wax and honey too from using them over the years. And this is a common hive tool that we can use to remove frames out of a box. And this is a bee brush. Sometimes we have to just move some bees out of the way very gently to access a hive or to look for the queen. And so that's one thing we use to do that humanely. And we try never to harm the bees, and they're like pets, and I have hundreds of thousands of pets, it turns out.
So how many hives do you have out here? You may have mentioned it.
Yeah, I have 17, and in a typical beehive out here, during the height of the season, they can have approximately 120,000 bees in each hive. Right now, going into the winter, it's less. It's probably 60 to 90,000.
So are they active during the winter months, or do they like hibernate? Or
They actually don't hibernate, but they go into a state of decreased motion, just like bears hibernate.
Like me?
And yeah. Reptiles just kind of get sluggish, and bees do the same thing. So they never fall asleep, but they actually constantly move around in the hive very slowly, and they trade places with each other in the coldest part of the hives. So they're constantly recycling themselves to keep warm. There's bees coming and going out of that hive, and they're essentially just like an aircraft landing at an airport. They kind of set their glide path coming over the sheds here, and they'll come on down. And if you walk in front of here, they'll just crash into your head sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
And they don't mean anything by it. They're just tired.
Trying to get home.
Yeah, they just flew 2 to 3 or 4 miles, and they're just tired out. And they're coming back in.
So when they're out gathering pollen, you have one on you, by the way. They go as how far away do they fly and then return to their?
Well,
their
they typically range within a 3-mile radius of the hive.
Oh my
and
gosh.
I know for a fact they go 5 miles out. So a single bee only produces about 1/20 of a teaspoon of honey in its entire life. So,
oh my gosh.
And they fly hundreds of miles to do that, if not thousands actually.
To produce how much?
1/20 of a teaspoon.
Oh my gosh.
So the honey that we produce here, I have a great regard and a high respect for what the bees do. It's an incredible amount of work. So I'm so happy to be able to do this.
That is amazing.
We're here, and just you could hold your camera right up against the hive, and they won't do anything to you at all.
I'm trusting you.
Yeah.
You can just hear them. Oh my goodness.
They typically fly about 30,000 miles per pound of honey.
Wow.
And so they'll collect honey and pollen, and the pollen, of course, is is the protein. I just got buzzed right there. It still startles me after all these years. Still.
So you make the hives, but then they also may make their own hives in trees around?
Yeah. What happens in the springtime, if the conditions are right, if there's plenty of nectar and pollen for them, and they're able to produce quite a number of bees, actually a greater number of bees than the hive can hold as a house, the worker bees will get the queen to lay some eggs in a queen cell, several queen cells, and they'll raise additional queens. And then, here's, I've got a bee on my hand here right now, but they will split the hive essentially. What happens is the worker bees quit feeding the queen quite so much, and they headbutt her and get her to start moving around the they get her to move around the hive, and she loses some weight so she can gain flight at the time when these other queens hatch.
And they don't kill her she doesn't kill them for even implying she needs to lose weight?
No,
okay.
They're very mild-mannered in that regard. And then when the new queens hatch, one of those new queens will survive that event, and the old queen will leave with half of the existing hive, and they'll just fly out into the woods, out into the creek, and start a new hive. Or hopefully, typically they just, since the queen doesn't spend her life flying around, she'll fly 10 to 20 feet and rest on some of these bushes, and then if I come home from work and they're still here, I'll just collect them and put them in a new hive, and they immediately start making a new family.
So is there one queen per hive?
That's right. I pull these frames out of the hive. I'll take the wax caps off the honeycomb and spin the honey out, and then just run it through the sieve. And then at that point I store it in containers, and then later on I'll infuse glug mix, which I use the same one that Corey sells in his shop, and he's got a couple different kinds. They're both equally delicious.
Thanks for that plug, by the way.
I've had both of them myself many times over the years.
Unleaded, right?
No. But anyway, I'll infuse this through a heating process, and taking care not to overheat it and caramelize the honey. So this honey is just...
Look at that. Bees joining you right during your cup.
Yeah. I heat this up very gently, and over a period of time introduce the glug into the honey, and you just have to do it very carefully so you don't burn the honey. Yeah.
Very good.
And then I bottle it up.
Then the orange, do you use actual orange, like orange peel, or how do you?
Yeah, I've used a couple of different things. I've used orange zest, which is peel.
Yep.
I've used some orange bitters, and then some other pure orange extracts of different sorts. So
great.
yeah. Hi, Sven.
Is that
How are
Sven
you,
or
buddy?
Ole? That's Sven.
That's Sven.
By the way, we're out here. We're being also accompanied by Sven and Ole. Very nice, and just to remind everybody, these are available now at the Hemsloyd. We have them in our gift shop at 201 North Main in beautiful downtown Lindsborg. The cost of these is $10.95, and it does include the honey dipper. And it comes in a nice, attractive package with some attractive twine around it that will make a perfect gift or stocking stuffer. Anything else you'd like to add, Eric, before we call it a day?
Yeah, I would. I'd actually like to thank all of you that purchased this. What funds come out of this project go right back into my beekeeping, and I'm in it to sustain the pollinators, which we all need, and it's kind of a conservation project for me, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thanks for partnering with us, and by the way, we're really enjoying having your wife be part of the Hemsloyd family. Can't wait to really get going with her. I think she's going to bring a lot of great things to our business. Have a good day, Eric. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Well, we made it back. What a great trip out to Peterson Farms and Peterson Honey. I hope you enjoyed your time with Eric as much as I did. Eric, we really appreciate you taking time to share with us today your knowledge of honeys and bees. And once again, thanks for offering your product here at the Hemsloyd.